going to do now is we've assembled some of the team at Innotribe, and joining the team at Innotribe to tell us what they've been up to for the last week or so. I mean, they've had lots of fun-packed activities. I'm sure you want to hear all about that. But also joining them is Mohammed Yunus. He's going to be delivering the keynote speech at the closing plenary a little bit later on this afternoon. That kicks off at 4 o'clock in the main plenary room. And of course, he's a guy that needs absolutely no introduction, but I'll do so anyway. He is the founder, as you know, of Grameen Bank and also Nobel Peace Prize winner. Nice to have you with us, sir. And you brought a party with you.
Yeah,
the whole party.
Yes,
look at that.
Absolutely, yes, indeed.
Tell us why you were so excited to come to Cybers, to Innotribe, and take part in some of these proceedings today.
Well, it's a bankers convention, so I thought I bring my old gripes against the banking system and tell them what it is and how when banking system went wrong and still continue to go wrong, and how to draw attention so that it can be fixed. Because unless we do that, we are up for more trouble than we had in the past.
Sure.
With the financial crisis, world has seen how banking system has gone berserk. Now, that is one part of it. But the basic problem with the banking system is not people-friendly banking. It's more corporate-friendly banking. It's a wealth-friendly banking. It's not working for the people. So how to make it an inclusive banking so that even the street beggar has access to banking system, which is very important. Because money begets money. If you want to make money, you need a dollar to catch a dollar. If you don't have that first dollar, you never catch a dollar. So these are the people, billions of people on this planet, who nobody gives them the first dollar. So they remain what they are. And it's the people who have lots of dollars get more dollars to make bigger. So there's a kind of two kinds of forces dividing up the people, and banking system is at fault in that.
And I hope you've been spreading this sermon across the group at Innotribe. You've brought this party. Let's go down the road and see what this party has in store for us. Yeah. So if you can, here's what we're going to do, everybody. Tell us your name and your organization, a little bit about what you've been doing here at Innotribe this week.
Sure. Oh, thank you for having me. My name is Julius Akinyemi from MIT Media Lab in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I've been here as a speaker. I spoke on the Health Index on Monday, and yesterday we talked about the digital asset grid, which is one of the ones I'm very passionate about. And today we talk about the banking for better world. My passion about that is, as we look into banking, I haven't been a banker myself. We are now looking at technology that empowers banking to take it to the next level and make it much more inclusive for the citizens of the world. The digital asset grid basically creates this huge database that now makes banking much more accessible. If you're at the middle of nowhere in Africa, we can register your assets, your cows, your property. The moment we register it and put it on a digital asset grid, you become a customer. So my campaign to all the bankers out there is every citizen is a customer. And go get that, and that's what digital asset grid is all about. And banking for better world becomes even much more inclusive when you implement the digital asset grid.
So my name is Martine, and I'm so lucky because I belong to the Innotribe team. Of course, I've been crew, so I've been running around, but what is the culmination for me was this morning, when Professor Yunus actually joined us with other very impressive panelists, because actually Innotribe is about innovation, and of course we research technology and how we can make the world better through that, but now we're starting to link the technology and the non-technology, and how do we reconnect the human beings with all this technology out there, and actually use it in a way that is helping humanity, rather than just for the sake of building new stuff.
Hi, I'm Karthik. I work for Citi, and I'm here as an Innotribe enabler. I've actually had the benefit of being part of the family for the last 2 years from the very beginning as they brought in the enabler. And this is like seeing your child, in the spotlight with a complete transformation of branding.
You're a proud Indian father today.
Totally proud parent. And I think what's exciting for me is that the entire concept of Innotribe, in the very name itself, is to try and build an ecosystem which is wider to enable inputs and to enable faster innovation, right? And be inclusive. And the way we've progressed over the years, the couple of years, we've actually now got stories that are real and capabilities that are live. So the digital asset grid, which Julius just talked about, is a very disruptive model where we are now going to bring in a utility option, not just for the banking world, but the entire world to look at assets everything that's going to go digital and how to transact around those assets, but not only transact, but also to monetize them. And of course, we just talked about Banks for a Better World, fairly exciting conversation with Professor Yunus, Julius, and Carolyn, and fairly aggressive conversation about how we can invert the pyramid and see whether, rather than always finance coming at the end of being both capable and having a purpose, can we actually use finance at the beginning to induce capability and purpose and invert the pyramid and provide more inclusion? So I'm very excited.
Hello, I'm Mircea Mihăescu from Sberbank, and I'm an Innotribe enabler. For us, Innotribe is the way of the future. It shows how banks compete for customers, but solving the very complex problems at the technology level, at the business model level, we need to collaborate, we need to work together. And this is the way that has been, in a sense, started by Innotribe. I'm convinced it will move across the industry. We look at both various ideas where banks work together and to define common standards, to define common solutions, and working on the social aspect is one of them. We also look at various technology startups that can succeed only if they sell to all of us. So we have to work with them to change the industry. We have to change to survive. I think we all agree on that. And the change is supported by new technologies coming from very many things outside the bank.
I am Mark Pescia, the CEO of Moore's Cloud, and I was invited in, I guess, to help the Innotribers think about what happens in a very profoundly connected environment where all of the monolithic services like a bank actually just sort of start to almost disintegrate into little connected services. And this actually then opens up a whole opportunity for, as we call it, the bottom of the pyramid to actually take some of these elements and put them together. And I think what we're going to see is some of these concepts, we'll start to see banks actually emerging from the bottom up rather than just from the top down because the elements are composable.
Well, I know bottom of the pyramid, that comes from the late Mr. C.K. Prahalad. He wrote a book about that, an Indian guru, and I had a chance to interview him about 6 months before he passed away. And I think at that time he was talking a lot about what lessons the banking system can learn from his book, The Bottom of the Pyramid. He actually made that talking about how people like Procter & Gamble, some of the car companies, etc., can reach that part of the community out there in the world. But obviously banks still have a lot to learn when it comes to that. Costa, you've also been very involved as head of innovation at Innotribe. Tell us what were the key highlights for you this week, and I know you've got the Startup Challenge as well. Tell us about that.
Thank you, Kiri. We had a truly extraordinary week, the fourth Innotribe Cybers. Truly extraordinary from the just the location perspective. The attendance was incredibly high. And then from the content perspective, I got a shot of intellectual power, absolutely amazing technology, such as the digital asset grid that we mentioned, future of money. We had a session that was truly mind-boggling about, the implications of some changes that are happening now, positive changes, not something to be scary, but something to embrace. We just had the Banks for a Better World session, amazingly powerful, bringing some human aspects to all of this.
Professor Yunus, you've been just in this session talking about, banks for a better world. I think a lot of the people that I've spoken to, a lot of these bankers, members of the wider community here at Cybers over the last 4 days have said definitely banks need to collaborate. How specifically, when you drill down to practical elements, okay, so we go away now from Cybers tomorrow in Osaka, we all get back to our desks, what do banks need to do? Who needs to be around that table, and what do they need to be focusing specifically on as a critical issue?
First of all, it's not, my priority is not collaboration. My priority is to redesign. Start from the scratch.
Start from scratch.
Start from scratch. Put the kind of objective as that we want to create a banking system which opens door for every single human being on this planet. That's objective. Now, start from there. How do you design that? Collaboration is just to maintain yourself the way you are.
Sure.
And do a little bit of here, a little bit of there.
You don't want incremental change.
No. This time is gone. This banking system is not going to help us survive. This is a collapse. This is a socially unacceptable banking system.
People from the banks, what do you say about that?
Putting us on the spot. We had a very interesting conversation, and as I was explaining, I think the fundamental elements of having a purpose and making sure that the entire ecosystem understands a purpose and bringing both the economic agenda along with the social agenda. Because at the end of the day, transformation, as Professor himself pointed out, a dollar begets a dollar. But for that, you need to incentivize the entire chain. Everybody in the participating ecosystem needs to see what is going to be in it for them. So it's, while the banks will make the transformation very much, it's also about bringing the ecosystem together, which is really why Innotribe is trying to push the agenda. And that's really why we had provocative conversation, owners like Julius, Professor Yunus, and Carolyn under the tent with us to try and see whether there is an expansionary agenda that we could take.
Just going back to the incentivizing the system. Assumption is money is the only incentive, and that's wrong too. There are many other incentives in the world. Helping people is an incentive too. If I can touch other people's life, excites me. Why should I deprive myself from that incentive? The money is only one of the many incentives. Making money makes me happy. That's incentive. That's why I want to make more money. Making other people happy is also a happiness. And maybe it's a super happiness. Why shouldn't you explore that? So everything doesn't have to be counted in money and dollar and cents.
What would Citi say about that?
It's not about Citi, it's my personal view. But I think each one of us has perspectives, and I'm going to share mine. What I was talking about as incentive is that we're talking about the role of a bank in creating the economic inclusion, right? And that's really what we were talking about. The individual incentives, if you have to bring me on board as an individual, do I want to do good? Of course I want to do good. Have I done it in my own capacity? I have. But how do I bring an industry under the tent in trying to embrace a social agenda which also creates an economic return? At the end of the day, all corporations are measured on the return on their capital. And that's the measure that the universal acceptance is there. So it's not just the banks, but all corporates.
The two models can work together, and I think that by inviting social entrepreneurs and social banks to talk with us exactly here under the Innotribe umbrella at Cybos, we show that we see a common path in the future. And it's not about one replacing the other, it's about one extending the other.
Right. If I bring all of that together, it's all powered by the technology. Because we are at an age of digital technology that brings both social entrepreneurship and pure entrepreneurship to play on the same platform, where they can still, to Karthik's point, make money, because that's the objective of the stockholders, and for social entrepreneurs that are passionate about changing the world. The technology is there today. We are at an age where we can provide all of that. Big data, big technology, connected world, that are now called, the global interconnected intelligent nervous system. When we connect that, they work like a nervous system in your body. And when a little part of that doesn't work well, your whole body doesn't function. So when we connect everything properly, both social and regular, we all function better, and the world is a better place.
Okay, well, we're out of time. We've got to leave it there.